Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy and I help people with their breakups. And today I want to talk to you about people who get over breakups, I don't want to say easily, but quickly. And these are a few adapted stories of friends over the years that kind of surprised me or didn't surprise me based on their situations. But when I was going through my breakup and I'm listening to everyone else's breakup stories and I'm going, well, how did you treat it? And they're going, I got over it pretty quick, actually. And I would like to share that side of it because I think these stories are relative and it's based on their character and their individual situations. And like I always say, everyone has an individual situation or story. Visit writemac.com, my website, and please tell me your breakup story and I'll give you my take in a live video response, or we could book a live coaching session. But let's get into these individual stories. I didn't even write them out because I have them in my head, so I might pause and look outside for a minute to think about the story, but I'm pretty good at recalling stories and telling stories. That's why I made this channel, right? So, people who get over breakups quick. So this buddy of mine, I was working in real estate. He had been in real estate for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, but he was one of the top agents, a very good salesman, and I'm not joking. He was a 20-year car salesman prior to this with Cadillac. So he had a mouthpiece on him. I mean, he was a salesman, but he was a good guy. Good guy. Everyone liked him. Just had a really good way with people. And actually, more than a friend, he was a mentor at the time in the office. And we just got on right away. So when I went through my breakup, he was kind of there for me and kind of gave me some different advice. And at the time, he was in his 40s. I was late 20s. So I valued his advice. But he told me, oh, you know, Mac, before he had a wife at the time, he's like, before my wife, I was in a relationship. I had a pretty bad, I had broken up. We were going to get married and stuff. And he goes, she just drank too much. It really bothered me that she drank so much. And, got to a point where we just, broke up. I had the house and told her she had to go. And I'm like, well, how'd you get through it, man? What'd you do? And he goes, I went to fucking Vegas the next week, man. And I was just like, what? I'm like, how long were you with her? I think he said 4 or 5 years. And I think he said it was a fiance, if I recall correctly. And he was kind of smiling about it. He goes, I was just done. And what I'd like to say about this guy's character is he's a confident individual, strong, confident individual. He had his own house. He was making good money on his own. And when I say he had his own house, he bought his house when he was like 21 or 22. So a lot of times I'm seeing like people stay together for financial reasons. So this helped him out also. He was able to say, it's my house, you need to move out. And he just was sick of it. He was done. And he was able for himself to transition immediately into going to Vegas and hanging out with buddies and having a good time. He said it hurt, initially, but he was prepared for it. And that's how he treated it. But what I noticed about him, like I said, he had other things in his life going for him. His mom lives, I think, 20 or 30 minutes away, has a strong relationship with her. And he's a really good friend. He has a lot of friends. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why he was able to get through it. And one of the things he told me that always stuck out is he's like, life's like a clock, Mac. He goes, with the change of a second hand, your life can change like that. And I didn't really get it at first, and I didn't understand what he meant. But I know now, like, he's just saying in a moment, sometimes things can all change from good to bad to happy to sad. And it's true. So the next story I have was a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, and after high school he had this girlfriend, and no one really liked her, to be quite honest, and she kind of had a bad reputation. She kind of was a bad character, and she had a lot of boyfriends, dare I say, prior to him, and we were in not a small town, but where people know each other, so that didn't bode well for her reputation, and it probably wasn't fair at the time. It was probably just gossip. But just hanging out with her, she was bossy, she was rude, and he liked her, though. He was into her, and they were together for 3 or 4 years. They were like drinking buddies. And they moved away, they went somewhere, and they had their problems in the last year, and he basically found her in a hot tub with another guy, naked, not doing anything, right? And that was it for him. That was it. Like that. he said, so when I asked him about his, he goes, "Oh, I was done for a few months prior. That was just the match that lit the flame." So literally, he was looking at ways to break up. He was sick and tired of it. He was fed up, and he said it wasn't difficult for him to get over it or get through it because he was so fed up, and that was his out. That was his exit. Now, he didn't have a lot of bitterness either. Now, this guy, I just mentioned this because I noticed this about this individual. He had a really strong family ties, a lot of friends. He had a good job at the time. And when I mentioned like family ties, like I said, some people it's tough when they lose their partner if they don't have good family ties or a good family relationship, because in a way that's their one family member, if that makes sense. And that makes it tougher, I think, sometimes. So that's why I'm mentioning these two guys. They had a really deep relationship with their parents. I mean, they go to dinner there every week. They talk on the phone every day. So I just think that helps some people get through it. Maybe not all. Okay, the last one was a bit different. This friend of mine, they were both at the time in their mid to late 20s. And they just had a strange relationship. I just didn't think my buddy was fully into her. She had a lot of money, but she didn't work. Her family was rich, so she'd always take him out for dinner and, you know, if they went on a trip or something, pay for the gas. And at the time, he didn't have a lot of extra money. So in a sense, I felt like he was using her a bit, and they were kind of friends. And they just when they were around each other, he just didn't seem into the relationship. He'd talk about her like she was an idiot. And she wasn't, you know, the most intellectual person when you talk to her. But basically, she wasn't drinking every day, but she was one of those, when she did get drunk, she got highly flirtatious and could disappear. And at a wedding they were at, she was really putting it on strong with this guy right in front of my friend. And they disappeared. She disappeared with the guy at the wedding. And I forgot what went down, but he tailed her, or he found out where she was staying, fucking staked out the place the next morning. Staked it out. Saw her get out of the, you know, come out of the apartment with the guy or whatever, and then call him up immediately after, like, "Oh, hey, where are you? I ended up going home early. I was too drunk." He was like, "Bullshit." Called her on it immediately. He broke up with her. I mean, because it was just blind proof right in front of his face. He was done. And it was another situation where he was like, he already had a foot out of the relationship, he said. He wasn't all in anyways. But that right in his face was enough to go, "I'm done. Fuck this." And he went, you know, a lot of people are hurt. He went straight into like, "Fuck you. You embarrassed me." And sometimes it's easier to get through something when you're a little bit angry. You take it a little personal. I'm not telling people to feel that way. I'm just saying that when you get into that gear, you shift into that gear, it's different than going, "Oh, I feel so sorry for myself. I can't believe they did that to me," where I'm like, "You fucking walked out on me at a wedding with some other guy and then lied to me the next morning about it? Fuck that. I'm not going to accept that kind of behavior. I'm not going to accept that in a relationship." And he was on from it. Now, this particular relationship, he had to deal with her coming back to him, hysterical, wanting to get back, saying sorry, and he was done. He was done. He was done. And he said it wasn't difficult. And the ball was always in his court, and it was hard to move on from her. He eventually had to move out of the area to just get away from her. So I don't know if that was smooth, but he wasn't thinking about her or missing her, right? Now, what's interesting about all these cases is all of them, they initiated the breakup. They wanted the breakup. What's interesting about these stories I get, you know, I would think that most people that are hurting or upset are the ones that got dumped. I don't like using that word, but you know what I mean. But I'd say it's 50-50. Sometimes it's 50% are the people, well, I broke up with them and now I want them to do this, this, and this. So it's like a call to them to go, "I broke up with you, but I want you to come back to me." So just to notice, the people usually that are the ones that decide to break up, that make that decision, probably hurt less. Even if both of you know it's coming, the one that wasn't rejected probably feels better. All right, I hope that helps you out there. Please visit writemac.com if you got a breakup story to tell, or you'd like to book a live coaching session with me. Thank you.